That day, for no particular reason, I decided to go on a little drive. So I drove to the end of the road, and when I got there, I thought maybe I'll drive to the end of town. And when I got there, I thought maybe I'll just drive across the great state of Florida. For no particular reason, I just kept on going. I drove clear to Lake Ontario. And when I got there, I figured, since I've gone this far, might as well turn and keep on going. When I got to the ocean, I figured since I've gone this far, I might as well turn back and keep right on going. When I got tired, I slept. When I got hungry, I ate. When I had to change the oil, I changed the oil.
Starting out October 3rd, 2025 at the McDonald's here in Arkansas. No, we're in Oklahoma, fixing to be in Arkansas. Looks like this is Warner, Oklahoma, home of Quinn Jones. Well, whoever Quinn Jones is, we'll have to look him up.
Says he played for the Falcons.
Oh, he played for the Falcons. How do I not know that? Last rest stop, I-40 East in Oklahoma. Their flags are still at half-mast for Charlie Kirk. Huge props out to them. Time to get on the road, get to Arkansas. Welcome to Arkansas, home of the Ozarks. Cruising through Van Buren, Arkansas. Of course, you think of the president, Van Buren, but you can't help but to think of the Van Buren boys. Crossing the Mississippi River, going into Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee. The mighty Mississippi River. And the mighty Mississippi River Bridge connecting Arkansas and Tennessee. This house right here was Vernon Presley's house, and it backed up to Graceland. It has seen better days. They have locks on the gates here, but this is Vernon Presley, Elvis Presley's dad's house when Elvis lived at Graceland. People have written things on the wall here. People from the Netherlands leaving messages here. Circle G Ranch, owned by Elvis Presley. It's seen better days, but this is something that a lot of people don't know about Elvis, is that he had this place here out from Graceland about 15 minutes. Circle G Ranch, Elvis Presley's. It's a 154-acre ranch owned by him. They rode horses out here. It has a beautiful lake on it, but he was attracted to a cross that was on this ranch. Just talked to the overseer here, and this bank was not here until Elvis sold the property. And so this is the house, and I'm going to walk around the backside, and then he's going to let me in the gate to see the property. He's the overseer of the property. And so this is the backside of the house. The railing is gone here, but I wouldn't walk up here, but he's kind of like, I'm going to take you on a tour of it. And I was going to go to this back gate anyway, because sometimes you can see the cross from there. Fencing through there that was here during the time that Elvis owned it. It's going to let me in the gate.
Big house next to us that had been divided into 3 apartments, and a lady named Miss Smith moved into one of them, and her and my mother became acquaintances. Well, my mother comes home one day and she says, Miss Smith has a nephew that comes to visit her, and you stay away from him because there's something wrong with him. And I said, yes ma'am. The first time I saw this person, they were sitting on the big old front porch on this place with their back to me, and he was playing on a guitar. I said, that's got to be him. So I went all the way around the far side of my yard, and I kept glancing back at him, and he had long sideburns and long hair. 4 years later, it was Elvis Presley.
How about that?
The building there was not here. It was not here when he owned it. It was built after he sold the property. And in that next group of trees over there is a big swimming pool.
Okay.
But we purposely let that stuff grow up around it to try to keep people out of there.
Right.
And my number one objective while y'all are here is to not let either one of you get hurt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Well, that's just me. Okay.
Yeah.
He lived in that white house up there. And a lot of this information that I get came from a lady named Tish, which was one of his private nurses, and which is now a good friend of mine. And she said that Elvis saw that cross, and said Elvis Presley was very religious, and said he came back the next day and found Jack Adams, and as she put it so delicately, made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Right.
And the story on the cross, I've got a book at home that one of my people that come out here quite often gave me, and the name of it is My First Tractor. And there's an article in there by Jack Adams which says the reason that cross is there is he woke up one morning, went into the kitchen where his wife was, and said, honey, the Lord spoke to me last night and said build a cross on this property.
Wow.
That's why it's here.
Yeah. And that's what attracted Elvis to this property, was that cross.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Now, a lot of these trees weren't this big, and that building wasn't there so he could see it. And it's a phenomenal story about how it happened. Now, did the good Lord speak to Jack Adams so Elvis would see that cross? I don't know. I have no idea. This is the famous bridge. And everything right now is in original, deteriorated being. You see the bottom of the cross right through there.
Yes, yes, I can see it over on the other side of the bridge on the...
Overseer of the property was a really good friend of mine, and he called me one day just out of the blue, and we were just talking. And he said that he had an old pickup over here that somebody hot-wired and turned over.
Oh, no.
And I said, Pat, give me a key to the place. I live within sight of it.
Right.
Did you see that CVS pharmacy over there on the corner?
Yeah, yeah.
I live straight behind it.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I don't want you to go over and get hurt. I said, Pat, I spent 9 years as reserve deputy sheriff in this county. I said, I think I can take care of myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see this concrete runner right here?
Right.
There are 6 or 7 of them up and down through here where Elvis's mafia put their campers and they stayed out here.
Oh, so he had places where they could bring their campers and their RVs and
Like a campground.
and then that is the barbecue pit.
What's left of it?
Yeah, what's left of it?
It had an E on one side and a P on the other side. Someone has stolen the P, and I have gone and found every piece of metal I could out here in this place to cover up that E so they wouldn't steal it too.
All right.
But the owners have the original plans to the barbecue pit, the bridge, the stable area, and the house. And if they can get some investors in with them, they're planning to restore this.
Right.
The property all the way, this fence right here was the south boundary.
Right.
They own the property on the other side of that fence, all the way around this Elvis property. And their plans are for commercial things to be built outside of this, not on this ranch. Would you like to get closer?
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Well, you know something? What attracted me to this story about the Circle G Ranch is the same thing that attracted Elvis to this property, and that was this cross.
Yeah. Myself and 2 of my 12-year-old friends were crossing the street we lived just off of. A motorcycle was coming up the street, so we had to wait till it passed. And when it did, one of the saddlebag lid covers came off and bounced in the street. My buddy stepped out there and picked it up. Motorcycle turned around, come back, pulled up to the curb. And my friend hands it back to him. And he says, do you know who I am? He said, yes, sir, you're Elvis Presley. And you're giving this back to me? Yes, sir, it's yours. We saw it come off your motorcycle.
Yeah.
He turned the bike off, and he said, I have to watch this motorcycle every time I get off of it to keep people from taking souvenirs. Yeah. He didn't say stealing, he said souvenirs. And you're giving this back. He talked to 3 12-year-olds just like we're talking. He was not up here.
Right.
And
he probably enjoyed it because most of his life he probably had to be guarding himself of people that wanted something from him, and y'all were wanting to give something back to him.
and in the process, I still have the autograph he gave me.
Wow.
And every car that passed, you see the brake lights come on, they'd go down the street and make a U-turn and come back and stare at him. But none of them cars ever stopped, and still today that just blows my mind that none of them ever stopped. Which
is a good thing, because if they did, he probably would have had to move on, because he would have had a crowd around him.
But the poor man is standing there talking to us, and he's constantly doing this. And people started coming out of their houses, and he said, boys, he said, when these people get to the sidewalk, he said, I'm going to have to go.
Yeah.
The first person stepped on that sidewalk, he shook each one of us hand and said, thank you, boys. I won't forget this, but I got to go.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, 6 or 8 months later, from where I lived, I could see out our front door a little short street that was a dead-end street. And I saw a black limousine go down that street. And I said, black limousines in this neighborhood?
Yeah.
No. So I walked down there to see what was going on. And there were 6, 7, 8 people standing around out on the sidewalk. And I said, who is this in this limo? And the guy says, it's Elvis Presley. He said, he's got a cousin that lives there. I said, really? Well, he comes out and he talked to this little group of people. And I asked him, I said, how do you like being in the movies? He said, man, I love it. I said, well, in Love Me Tender, they shot you, didn't they? He said, oh, man, they shot me. And he stopped He pointed his finger at me and said, "You're one of them guys that gave me that motorcycle lid cover back, aren't you?"
Wow. He remembered.
And I thought, how in the world does he remember that?
Yeah.
How many years had it been?
It had been about 6 or 8 months.
Okay, so it was months. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have that good a memory.
I told this story to Tish, the nurse. She was a private nurse of his, and she said he had pretty much a photographic memory. And she said, somebody giving him something back? Yes, he remembered.
Oh,
that.
yeah.
This is my wife.
Yeah.
I have nobody can tell me when they were built or who built them.
Right.
And I deal on truth. I don't deal on rumors.
Right.
I learned that at the sheriff's department.
So you don't know whether these were here when Elvis owned
I
it?
do not know.
Yeah.
This one over here is tall.
Right. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see somebody that could look at these metal buildings and say, hey,
Yeah.
this is about the time frame they were built. Now, did Elvis have, I take it he had horses out here he
Yeah.
liked to ride?
Yeah. These silos, same story. I can't get a definite on when it happened.
You look really close. See a little heart right there at the crossing of the cross.
It's just the lake, yeah. And it's rain fed. It's down quite a bit right now. We haven't even rain.
Yeah, everywhere we've been.
Now,
You can hear the wind in the trees.
weird feeling that you can't explain. I do every time I come out here.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is about this place, but there's something special.
Yeah.
I was out here one day in the fall with one of the owner's sister, I think, and she was doing a conference call coming in here, and it landed in that tree right there, and it was a bald eagle.
Wow.
I was shocked. And it's such a calming, peaceful place. And there's traffic and people all around us,
Yeah.
but you don't notice any of it. And it's a different world right here to me. I get that feeling every time I come over here, and I come over here every day.
And the eagle represents freedom for our nation. The cross represents freedom and hope for the whole world. That's what, probably moved to Elvis, that he just loved, Christ Jesus and what the cross represents.
I'm going to tell you another little story that happened to me. One day my wife comes home and said, there's somebody outside that fence up there close to that church taking pictures. Well, I always come and check because I've had a lot of people climb over the fence. And I don't want nobody to get on here and get hurt.
Right.
And I pulled in that church parking lot and I hollered at him. I said, hey, are you an Elvis fan? He said, oh, yes, sir, big time. I said, come over here and talk to me. So he comes across the street. I said, you're from North Carolina, aren't you? He said, how'd you know that? I said, your car's sitting right there. I saw the tag on it. But being I spent so much time as a deputy sheriff,
Right.
I look at stuff like that.
Right.
And I asked him, I said, how would you like to go on that ranch? He said, man, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I said, follow me, just like I did you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was locking the gate, he had an SUV and he was digging around in the back of it. And I thought, what is he looking for?
Right.
And be honest with you, I'm armed.
Yeah.
I'm always armed.
Right.
Because this is 154 acres over
Right.
here. And I don't know who or what's going to be over here.
That's
Right.
But anyway, when he turned around, he had his hand like that. And he said, I'd like to pass you something on a handshake. I said, okay. You always turn your gun hip away.
Yeah.
I opened my hand and I was holding a medallion that said Air Force One on it. I said, where did you get this? He said, I'm a retired Air Force cabin crew member of Air Force One.
Wow.
Now, what he had to go through to get that job,
Right.
I was not going to ask the man no questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he voluntarily told me something, that's another thing. But I'm not going to. Did you know President something? No, I wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was a super nice guy, and he asked me, he said, "Have you got any grandkids?" Yeah, I've got 2 boys. He said, "Give me your address. I'm going to send them something." I said, "Sir, you don't have to do that. Do not offer me any money because I ain't going to take it.
Oh.
This
okay.
is the one thing you're going to
Yeah.
do here that costs you 0.
Right. Okay.
I do it from here."
Right, from the heart. Yeah.
Yes. I gave him my address. Well, I had his phone number and everything, his information. And a couple of weeks later, I get an envelope this big in the mail. And I thought, what has he sent me? I could feel what was 2 medallions. But when I opened it, I pulled out 2 8x10 pictures of Elvis Presley and that Harley motorcycle he was on.
That y'all returned the piece.
One of them is now matted in a frame with my autograph right under it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I called him and I said, "Man, I really want to thank you for what you did, and I really want to thank you for the 2 pictures. He said, "Oh, let me tell you about the 2 pictures." I said, "Okay." He said, "I've got a friend of mine who lives in the state of Georgia that has told me repeatedly that he knows every story there is to know about Elvis Presley." He said, "I told him your story." And he said, "I've never heard that before."
Well, good.
The man in Georgia sent the man in North Carolina the 2 pictures, and he sent them to me. He said, "It's your story. I want you to have them."
Wow.
Cool.
The other one is in my other truck,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
and I'll show people that one, but I don't have it in this truck.
Yeah.
But you know, I have been so fortunate to be able to do what I do
Right.
because I get to meet the nicest people on this earth.
Yeah.
I have had people from 20 foreign countries
Wow.
and 38 states come over here
Yeah.
just to see it.
Yeah. And you probably have had someone from Florida, so we don't get to add another state. Of course, I grew up in Georgia,
Can't both.
but she's a native of Florida. Yeah.
My best friend from the 6th grade in elementary school lives in Chuleola, Florida.
Ah. Good.
And he was up here 5 or 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And I can call him.
This is a cool place, and I can see why he was attracted to it. I can see why the original owner built this cross here.
That I know, the former nurse.
Right.
I asked her one day, I said, "How did you get involved with Elvis Presley?"
Yeah.
She said, "Well, George Klein was one of his Memphis Mafia guys.
Uh-huh.
And Elvis needed a doctor. So George was dating a nurse that worked for Dr. DeCoppers. He said, "Let me call and see if he can come see you." So he called, and he did. He came out to Graceland. And she said he had saddle sores. That's why he needed a doctor. And as time progressed, Dr. Nick told Elvis, said, "I am in a doctor's group and you have to come to my office for one visit." Said, "You call me whenever you want to come and I'll close everything down except the people that work here and myself." So he did. So he goes to the office. And he put Tish in a room with a desk with Elvis Presley to get information. And I thought, what information did you need from Elvis Presley? And anyway, she said he wouldn't look at me. She said he kept looking down. And she said, I reached across that desk and put my finger on his chin and raised his face up and said, "If you're going to talk to me, you're going to look at me."
Mm-hmm.
She said it kind of startled him, but he did. Well, when he left, Dr. Nick called her into his office. And she says, "I knew I was fixing to get fired." And Dr. Nick told her, he said, "I don't know what you did or what you said to Elvis Presley, but he told me if you wasn't here, he wasn't coming back." So when Dr. Nick couldn't go to Graceland, Tish would go.
Right.
And after doing this for several months, he asked her, he said, "Tish, why don't you and your family move out to Graceland?" He said, "I'll put you a double wide trailer right out behind the mansion." And she said, "I ain't doing that. We just bought a house." And she talked to him like a mother figure,
Right.
I guess. And he said, okay, but I'm getting seriously worried about your old car. She said, there's nothing wrong with my car. Leave it alone. She said a couple of weeks later, she goes down there, and when she goes in the mansion, he hands her a set of keys.
Yep.
And she said, what is this to? He said, go open the front door. She said, there sat a brand new Grand Prix Pontiac.
Wow.
He said, now I don't have to worry about your car. Well, as time progressed, her husband got laid off. And she mentioned that to Elvis one day. And he said, hey, tell him to come down here. I'm going to put him on in security at Graceland. So he did. And she said 3 or 4 months later, he comes home just grinning. And she says, what are you grinning for? He said, honey, pack it up. We're moving to Graceland.
No more driving to Graceland.
Because everybody knows where Memphis is.
Right.
The first thing that would come out of those people's mouth was, did you know Elvis?
Did you know Elvis?
Do either one of you remember the worldwide concert that he did from Hawaii? This man told me that Elvis found out that the majority of the people in that audience were big money people. He said 2 days before it was transmitted over the air, he had a full dress rehearsal. They said he opened the doors and your ticket to get in was proof that you lived in Hawaii. He said, I went to it. I was there. He said it actually happened. And I was dumbfounded at that. I still have my 2 tickets. He was supposed to have a concert here on the 27th of August, and he passed away. I still have my 2 tickets, and I have them matted in a frame. My wife found a postcard picture of the gates of Graceland, and I've got them mounted. I bring them with me occasionally over here. And I had one guy say, I don't care what you want for them, I'll pay you. I said, no, sir, that's history. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I said, I don't need your money. I married a woman that could afford me, so I don't need it.
There you go.
Hours on end and never found it.
Right.
And I told that story to one man. He said, if I go down to Walmart and get a metal detector, can I come out here and look for it?
Yeah.
I said, sir, if you set foot on this property with a metal detector, you're going to jail.
Right. Right. Yeah, just let the ring be.
I said, if it's here, it belongs right here.
Yeah.
And he stood there for a second. He said, you know, you're right. I'm sorry I asked that.
Yeah.
I said, it's okay. You never know you ask.
So that happened a day when Priscilla and Elvis were they were riding horses, and he just used his own ring for a slip slide for his neck piece, and the ring came off out here. Wow.
Yep.
How about that?
And she said Elvis had 2 gears when he rode horses. Either hard as it would go or stopped.
Yeah. The house, and to the right was where the old barn stable was, and they would ride horses out here. 154 acres.
Yep.
A lot of room to just enjoy the horses and each other and friends and the Memphis Mafia. Not just a Mississippi historical site, but it is a national historical site with a beautiful cross. The biggest plus sign the world has ever seen right there. And it's about his work, not my sweat.
And I was just walking around looking at different things over there, and the elevator door opened and she stepped out of it. And I said, excuse me just a minute, can I tell you something? She said, well, sure. I said, I'm the overseer of the old Circle G Ranch, and I would like to extend to you an invitation that if you would like to come and see it, all you gotta do is call me.
Right.
And I said, it will be me and nobody else. I'm not gonna bring no bunch of people. And she said, this lady's my secretary, give her your information. I did, but I haven't heard from her. Even if I don't, I know that I gave her the invitation.
Right.
And she probably has a lot of memories
Oh, yeah.
out here.
Yeah.
Yeah. 21 on our journey ends here at the Circle G Ranch in Mississippi, right outside of Memphis. Just had a treat talking and sharing short stories with Ed Jordan here. So this has been a real blessing for us, and we got to see the cross and the 154 acres here that was owned by Elvis. The water tower right down the road as we're leaving the Circle G Ranch is Horn Lake. Horn Lake.
We got here late to Tupelo because we were at the Circle G Ranch today and kind of talked to Ed for a long time. But we're here at the birthplace of Elvis, Tupelo, Mississippi. Here at his birthplace is the Elvis Presley Center. It's a youth center. You can read about it right here.
We got here late, so it's nice and quiet.
In 1956, Elvis returned home for a benefit concert, and he noticed that the 15 acres around his house was for sale, and he donated the money from the concert to the town and asked them to buy it and build a place for the kids. The rest is history. In loving memory of Elvis Aaron Presley. This is the Assembly of God church that he went to. The birthplace of Elvis Aaron Presley, January the 8th, 1935. And here's the house he was born in.
Here we are. Can't see the sign because it's dark. Welcome to Sweet Home Alabama.